Well, hello again, everybody. Boyd back with you for another update on our Spindrift build. Before I get going and talk about where I'm at here, just want to say a big thank you to everybody out there who sent us well wishes for my wife and her surgery. Really meant a lot to both of us. And she got home from the hospital on Friday, and we're taking good care of her. She's recovering really well. The doctor says she's actually a little bit ahead of schedule, so we're really glad about that. And the well wishes and kind words meant a lot to both of us. So thanks again for that, you guys. We really, really appreciate that. Both the people here at YouTube and over at Facebook. So that was really great of you guys to think of her like that. I was able to come out here a little bit on Saturday afternoon and work on the model a little bit more. And I mainly focused on the base. As you can see here, I've got it pretty much done. So I'll talk to you guys about what I did here. Everything was really similar to what we did on the moon bus base, where I did the plaster, the same basic procedure as far as setting it all up. We got a little power contacts underneath of the model, which I'll pick it up in a second and show you those. But then it came to laying everything out, and I really got some really cool ideas that came from you guys, and I always appreciate that when you guys share those with me, and I'm always interested in what you guys are thinking. We had some really neat ideas coming as far as what to do with this base. One really cool suggestion that somebody thought of was to have it, a giant footprint on there. But I couldn't do that because of the size of the base. If I would have done a full-size footprint, it would have made the base probably twice as big, or maybe even bigger than that. And I was limited with my space here, so we had to come up with something. And then as far as putting the foliage down, you can see I just did this amount here. I believe if I start doing any more than that, it's going to start looking too cluttered, like I talked about. And I'm always, mindful of that. To me, when you're doing a display, the model should be like the main focal point, and all the other stuff is just kind of peripheral. And so we don't want to get too crazy with a bunch of stuff on here. You're just, what I'm trying to convey here is just the idea that it's on the ground, it's in the woods, and you're getting the general idea. And we kind of matched up a lot of the plants to what we saw on the show. They had these really kind of tropical looking plants, so we kind of came up with that. And we got a dirt surface here with a little bit of texture on it, and that worked out really good. You can see I scratch made these little steps here, which they're kind of out of place right there a little bit. And on the TV show, they only had 2 steps because I think the ship was buried into the ground a lot deeper than what I've got here. And also there's a difference in scale a little bit with the way the people are and everything. So things are not exactly quite right. So I wound up going with 3. Otherwise, if I'd have done 2, the steps would have just been too far apart and too odd looking, where they would have had to take giant steps to get up the literally giant steps to get up and down the ladder. So we didn't want to have that. Even with 3, it's kind of iffy, but I think it'll pass, and I'm pretty happy with it. At least we added some detail there, and then I kind of matched up the shape the way it looks in the show and painted it the same color. So I think that'll fly okay. And then we had to think about what we were going to do with the figures. And originally I talked about maybe having the stewardess sitting on the steps here, but when I looked at that, she was just kind of facing straight forward, into oblivion, not really doing anything, and kind of blocking this little hallway where you can see some detail in there too. So I decided to make a couple of rocks and have her sitting down. And then we've got our first officer here who they've just kind of discovered this object on the ground, and you can see it's a button. And this is kind of our little, giant reference here. It took me a little while to figure out exactly what I wanted to use for that, because I wanted something to be the right scale, but I didn't want it to take up a whole lot of space on the base either, because I only had a limited platform here where to put the people, or how I could have them interacting with it or whatever. So the first thing I thought of was a coin, and then I thought, well, the show on the show they make it seem like it's not Earth and it's a different planet and all that. So I knew that we couldn't use like a US nickel or something, or a dime, and because it wouldn't look right, because they're not supposed to be in the United States or whatever. So we came up with a button, and I think that worked out pretty good, because it gives an idea of the scale, and they'd be wondering, what the heck is this huge button doing laying on the ground, so they're kind of getting a clue that something is not quite right in Kansas. So that's our little idea for the Giants reference. I think it worked out pretty good. And we got our little first officer guy there. By the way, a little trivia about Don Marshall, the guy who played the first officer. He was actually in the classic episode of Star Trek called the Galileo 7, where he played Officer Boma. And if you think about the plot to that, it was basically the same premise as this show, where they were in the Galileo, they crashed on an alien planet, and they were faced against, you know, getting attacked by these giant creatures. And here they're basically doing the same thing. He crashed again on another planet, so I guess he was kind of cut out for the role, and he was very good in it. And kind of looking into some Land of the Giants stuff from some of the fan sites and everything when I was looking for pictures, a lot of the fans, he was their favorite guy, because at the conventions, he was always really nice about signing autographs, apparently, and being really kind to people and answering questions and being supportive of the show over the years. So that's really, really cool. And like I said, I've seen him in several of the old shows from the 70s, and I always thought he was a good actor. So we've got him kind of prominently out front there. And the stewardess are both checking out the large button there. So there we go with that. Now, you can see that the ship's not finished yet. I don't have it sealed or anything. That's why there's still a big gap. And the paint job is still way too shiny. We're going to dull that way down and add a little bit of weathering to it. We're going to add the decals and everything. That's when it'll really start coming around. But I've got to wait for the control board to get here before I can seal her up. So that's really the last thing that we'll be doing. It's coming to me from Massachusetts, from where Ralph at Tenant Control is, and they're having some weather issues out that way. So I'm thinking it might be a little delayed. We might hopefully get it by the end of next week, and then maybe by next weekend I can wrap this up and show you the final video. But yeah, we're gonna get that installed. Then our pulsing lights will work for the engines. You can see we've got our cockpit lighting in there now, and you can see a lot more detail in there. That's working out really good. Once we put the windshield in, we're going to lose a little bit of that, but I'm going to use some clear acetate for that, which is as clear as glass. The kit glass is a little thick and a little bit distorted, so we're going to make sure we get a really nice clear view so we can see the cockpit detail, and we can see that back wall in there in red. After we did all that work, we don't want to lose that. Probably do the same thing over on the side windows here. But we'll get it all sealed up, get the seams fixed on it, get the decals put on, do a little bit of weathering, and we'll call it a wrap on the ship. So that's pretty much all that's left to do, you guys. Let me pick this up, and I'll show you what we got going on underneath of it here. Here's our contacts. Now, what I did this time versus the way we did it on the moon bus is I actually bent these over, and these actually have kind of a little bit of a spring action on them, because we got like a little curve on the bottom of the ship. I couldn't find a spot on the whole bottom of the hull that's perfectly flat. The whole thing has got a little bit of a curve to it. So I had to put these spring kind of things on there to make sure it made good contact. And then you can see I kind of dug it into the plaster as it was curing, and then I kind of, you know, made this little rough edge around here to make it look like the dirt's been pushed up, like it came to a, you know, it got embedded into the dirt a little bit when it crash landed. And that helps to center the whole model and line everything up when we put it back down. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll try to do that with one hand here, and hopefully not knock anything over. There we go. Just put it right back in place there. So once I figure all that out and make sure I got everything perfect, I'll go ahead and everything has been glued down here on here except the steps. So once I get that, I'll glue those in place too, and we'll be all set. So yeah, you can see our lighting going on here in the back on our engines. I did go back and double check this, that some of these I got to open back up a little bit, because I did go back and see. Now, I got differing opinions on whether that rear grille was supposed to be black or not. Well, on the studio model, I couldn't find a really good picture of the back end of it. But in a couple shots, I believe that it does look like it's black. So I went ahead and redid that and put the black back on there so it matches these front ones here. But there's a couple spots you can see when I went back over it that I've got to go back and just clear them out. Do a little bit more scraping on there, and they'll all look nice and even. But that'll come out really nice. And like I said, the model is still way too shiny. We'll get rid of all that too. That makes it look a little bit toy-like to me. So we'll get that all dulled down once the decals are on it and everything. You can see I put the little Land of the Giants decal on there that comes with the kit. That adds a nice little touch on there. So yeah, you guys, I guess that's about it for this one. Again, thank you so much for the kind words. And I'll be back probably, hopefully midweek or the end of the week. And with the finale on this, we're just going to put a little 9-volt battery in the bottom of it. We don't have to put a switch on there like I was talking about, because all we got to do if we want to shut the model off is just move it a little bit, and out she goes. And we don't have to worry about a switch or anything. We want to turn it back on, we just, you know, kind of put it back in place, and we're all set with our lighting. So yeah, we're going to have a little red dome on the top and all that, and some more little details to put on it here and there, and it should look pretty spiffy, you guys. This has been a really fun little project to work on. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Be back for the finale here really shortly, guys, and then Just real quickly, I'll show you over here. I mentioned it on my Facebook page, but you guys might not have seen it. This is what's up next on the channel, you guys. This is an awesome kit. This is the XP70 Valkyrie kit from AMT. I think this builds out to about 31 inches when it's done, with about an 18-inch wingspan. And I got this kit because I've always really loved this airplane. I think it looks like something right out of the Thunderbirds TV show. And as some of you guys might know that are plane builders out there, they're coming out with a 1/48 scale SR-71 from Revell, Germany. Some people have already started building it on their YouTube channels, and it's just an awesome kit. So that's going to come along here at some point down the road, and I wanted to have these two together because they're just both really, really cool planes, and pretty much, you know, way ahead of their time, and just everybody remembers these things, and especially the Blackbird. The Blackbird is just, in my opinion, one of the most awesome looking aircraft that was ever built, and even to this day, it looks like it, you know, since the 1950s technology, it looks like it could still fit right in. It's just a fantastic bird. So this will be a fun build coming up, and then we'll probably be back to more sci-fi after that, but I just wanted to switch up a little bit here, you guys. And over on Facebook, when I announced it, a lot of people seemed like they were interested in it, so that'll be what's coming next, you guys. All right, so we'll see you in a few days, and until we do, take care out there, and happy modeling, you guys.